Say we started with them early in 2020, and okay, that time we had promised the market like we want to destabilize in the way maybe we were doing the issuances. If you check, like most of us, especially, okay, I know we are digital credit providers, but sometimes the products that we issue, not necessarily the digital ones. You have a Moda rider, I'm very passionate about Moda. I saw some Moda riders here, so that's our segment. Though our initial product actually was car financing, and then we started the Moda portfolio. So you have Moda riders, you try to query the CRB reports, you don't have any information. So meaning this is a person who is already excluded in the financial system, then you still want to include this person, so which data do you use? So initially, manually, okay, we had to employ so many credit analysts, then how do they evaluate these writers? So if you check the M-Pesa transactions, not a lot of transactions. So based on your discretion, you somehow reject. So, but I think that's time that we started engaging with Spin Mobile. Of course, they came with all these solutions, the scoring part, and after testing our data over time, actually we found a lot of value with their scoring model. So I might not delve so much into what we do, but based on the information that they provide, so they have like different risk segments. If, let's say, for example, a lot of the expenditures that the customer, how the customer is using their income and so for us, now that we have the API, and my advice would be, if you are using the manual thing, please try to develop an API, because the moment you have this data stored somewhere in your database, then you can use this data based on what you want. So for us, based on that integration, based on the data that they are giving us, the scores they are giving us, we kind of developed our own scores, and it worked very well for us. So currently, let's say for example, I want to maybe increase my risk appetite a bit because I want to issue more. What I'll do, you see, I have the scoring thing in my state's mind, yeah? So adjust it a bit, meaning I'll pass the different categories that I want. Over time, if I feel this is okay, not what I intend, or I don't want to issue as much based on what I want to achieve, I also adjust a bit. So basically for us, we consume a lot of information from Spin Mobile, not necessarily the M-Pesa analytics, KYC analytics, that is the IBRS, I'm sure. Okay, for us, we also went to IBRS directly, and for those who have dealt with the IBRS team, they are not as friendly as you might think. Remember, this is government, so sometimes there is a downtime. If you try to call them, of course they won't pick your call. They don't have that motivation. So what do you do? So for us, when Spin Mobile provided the solution, so yes, even if we have access to this web version of the IPRS directory, since they are not as cooperative as we want, so I want to transfer that space to Spin Mobile. So basically that's how we use, but in terms of the scoring part, it has really worked for us. So they give you the information, but then how you use the information is then up to you. I remember, okay, on the very first days, because in Boda there is so many issues involved. So it's not just about the customer himself, but then sometimes there is also some other external forces, especially those who are in that space, they know fraud in border is quite different from what we see in our daily operations. So I know what you know about fraud. Somebody will come with a forged, maybe a visa statement, forged ID document. And then that's quite different in border. But through this solution, somehow for us we are able to know that this is a fraudulent application and this is not. Now I'll give you a simple example. When you need to pay me for this, let's say for example, you come, okay, you want an application, yes. You are applying somewhere in Kenya. So, of course, you collect the information when you resign and everything. And then, based on what I see from Spin Mobile, they tell me from the transactions, this customer should be somewhere in or this time. So you see, I have the information from the customer. I have the information now from the data. So which information do I use? So that's just an example. And through data, we've tested and we've been able to mitigate like that segment. Because a lot of organized crime in this space, but I would say through data, we're able to navigate. So those are some of the ways we do. So sometimes I know, especially when we have a downtime, Grace and Collins, they know Sammy. And if I'm not able to reach them, I go to the big boss. But the reasons why we do so is, okay, this is part of our day-to-day operations. We've done a lot of integrations, and for us, we are ready even to stop for a while when they have a downtime before we go to the alternative, and we have the reasons for that. So I wouldn't talk much, but in a nutshell, we see a lot of value. And for Victor, if you don't know, you've really disrupted the scoring market. Sometimes if for those who engage with the databases, the CRVs, for me they ask, like, what is it that you are doing with Spin Mobile? Because sometimes we switch from using those scores to using Spin Mobile scores, and there is a reason for that. I remember sometimes back, for you to know that you've disrupted, some guys as far as from Nigeria, I don't know whether Victor you've heard of Mono.
Yeah.
Mono, yeah. So for those, they also approach us, they give us some solutions, and then if you try to check whatever they are offering, you know they are not close to this. Also some guys, maybe you have worked with Spin Mobile, some have like tried to prepare something, and they also come to us, but okay, they'll promise you all those maybe good rates and everything. But for me, what matters is what value are you getting from the output that a solution provider or a service provider is getting. So yes, there is the cost part, but for us, the value that we see, actually yes, we care about cost, Victor. But I would say this is part of us, and it is part of our day-to-day operations. And that's why I know we promise customers to give loans within maybe some 2 hours. But then if you are doing it manually, okay, yes, you can issue, but then are you issuing to the right customer? So for us, we are even able to do less than 2 hours, and that's a car logbook loan. From application to perfection, and we give the right customer. So that's the car, and we think car is complicated. For borders, we do much more. Actually, a lot of borders, and with very few credit analysts, I would say. I remember sometimes back I had so many credit analysts before we adopted the solutions. And then with automation, okay, yes, it doesn't render people redundant, but remember we are in a